up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange and black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Birdland.
Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, Next Generation Baltimore Sports Talk. I am your endearingly starting host, Matt Soroka. And as always, I'm joined by the button lover and the CEO of Birdland Sports, who might be coming out with a new clown t-shirt from Mike Elias, Josh Soroka.
You texted that. I ignored that. I have had, after a few months of not putting out any new product, I put out like 3 or 4 new shirts this week.
Yeah.
Including a James McCann shirt this morning.
Oh, nice. The bloodied up nose.
Yep. He's wearing the mask, got the plugs in his nose, and a little blood on there. So, and then a Kerstead. Thankfully, every new shirt I came with, the people are still on the Baltimore Orioles.
That's a good thing. Is any new players t-shirt worthy? I don't know.
Zach Eflin has a new shirt up on birdlandsports.com.
Okay. Very cool.
I mean,
yeah, I saw Garrett Cole today was missing a start due to general body fatigue, and a lot of people were talking about McCann getting hit in the face and finishing the game.
Yeah, and can still play.
With being kind of tired. Just a different level of toughness here in Birdland compared to up in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of how Aaron Judge handles inside pitching versus how McCann handles inside pitching going around yesterday.
That was wild. I couldn't watch it. I literally had to turn away when I just saw blood pouring out of his nose like a faucet.
No, it even made its way onto my morning show, the Mike O'Mara show, which doesn't talk sports much at all. But the clip of him getting hit by the ball, because it was just making the rounds all over the internet yesterday, because you never see that. And the fact that he would get up and then goes right back into that game is awesome. What a guy.
Let me swap a jersey out and get back in there.
Yeah, very impressive. I saw, obviously, all his teammates were impressed. I saw Tyler Wells immediately go to Twitter, which I don't think he goes to Twitter a whole lot. But
I didn't realize he had a Twitter account until he tweeted that.
Yeah, he did for that about how great of a person he is. So that was exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, we're just stalling here because there's not much to talk about. So just killing time here.
Right. Because we made it through, what do we have? Like 4 or 5 new pitchers on the team since we spoke last?
I know. We got to unpack this. I don't even know. I haven't wrapped my head around what happened today.
Well, I think the good thing for us is, we have a lot to talk about for what happened today, especially in that final hour. I think is when it was like, hey, let's do this and this and this and this and this.
Yeah. A lot of it came in after the 6 o'clock trade deadline.
Yeah. But I think we can start with the Zach Eflin trade because we have not talked about that. That talk happened a few days ago.
Let's start at the beginning.
Let's
start at the beginning.
Did I miss one before him?
Yeah, the Austin Hayes was before him.
Oh, right. All right. You're right. See, I have moved on. I've forgotten about Austin Hayes.
Yeah. So let's I agree. Let's talk about each of these individual trades, and then we'll kind of talk about big stuff here.
All right. So let's start with the Austin Hayes.
Yeah. So Sir Anthony Dominguez and Christian is it? What they say in the game?
Poach. Yeah.
In exchange for Austin Hayes.
Yeah.
So a couple things on the front. This is a unique trade because it's one of these division leader to division leader,
right?
Playoff team trade with the Phillies.
It's not the Marlins dumping everyone.
Yeah.
It's not where you feel bad for the guy because he went from a World Series contender to a rebuilding team.
Yeah, more on that in a minute. But Josh, how surprised were you that? I mean,
I was surprised
that Austin Hayes was dealt at all.
I was surprised to see Austin Hayes traded. I love Austin Hayes. I think he seems like a great person. And I really enjoy watching him in left field. We've talked before about how with our left field, you really need 2 center fielders, and I've been enjoying Austin Hayes out there, and he's been healthy, which has been nice to see. So I was surprised. I kind of saw Austin Hayes as the long-term sticking around leader over Cedric Mullins. So it was surprising to see him get traded and not Mullins. But I feel good for Hayes. I mean, he's being put in a good situation where he can play every day. It's definitely a clear the logjam move for the Orioles as well.
So, yeah, with this trade, more about clearing the logjam with Austin Hayes. And listen, you say clear the logjam, and I'll come right back at you. Then why were we shopping today? Get to some other moves today for a right-handed outfielder.
I don't know.
When we had the right-handed outfielder, we traded him.
And then why would we? We'll get to those moves because I don't understand those moves.
It's like a lesser version of Austin Hayes.
It does, and I would say, well, except we brought in some bullpen help, which we desperately needed.
Right, and maybe that's. I mean, because the Phillies understand this. I was reading what Dombrowski, the GM for the Phillies, said. He said the last 2 years they were trying to get this guy Austin Hayes. He's a big Austin Hayes guy.
And Austin Hayes is due for a contract at the end of this year. He has spoken about how he wanted to be in Baltimore long term, and we all acknowledge that we don't know how much of a long term there is for Austin Hayes.
Right. He's under contract for 1 more year after this year, but he's making $6.5 million this year. So his final arbitration, he make like $8 million. I don't know if that was part of it.
I don't know if you saw he hit a 3-run home run today for the Phillies.
Good for him. Yeah.
It would not have been a home run in Camden Yards.
Yes, he
got hurt by the wall. More than anyone.
Yes, I think some injuries impacted him, and the wall certainly had a negative impact on him.
Yeah.
And then the logjam.
Did you?
But I don't think the Phillies wanted prospects, right? I think the Phillies wanted Hayes, and
of course they want to win now.
So they talked to the Orioles. They're like, "Listen, we want Hayes," and Elias like, "We want bullpen help." And so that's why. Well, maybe why didn't we get Sir Anthony Dominguez for prospects? Well, the Phillies didn't want prospects; they wanted Austin Hayes, and so it could have been. And Sir Anthony Dominguez throws hard, strikes out a ton of guys. I think he's going to fit really nicely at the back end of our bullpen as a seventh inning, 8th inning guy, however you want to work that out. So I think that's a good fit. And I think next year, and Elias has said this, he's always looking at years in advance. I think that's, if you think about this trade deadline, at the end of the show, we can talk about kind of big picture stuff, but Michael Elias is looking big picture clearly with this trade deadline. And probably there's a good chance Austin Hayes would not even be tendered a contract next year. So now you get this reliever back in return that you desperately need, along with Pache, who I think is a speedy outfielder. He's I saw people comparing him to Ryan McKenna, but if Ryan McKenna could actually play defense, not a great hitter, but good defensively, good base runner. Again, we'll see with all these moves if Pache actually sticks around, but he seems just to be a throw on.
Right. I saw things talking about Austin Hayes and the Orioles clubhouse issues.
Yes.
As soon as this trade, trying to justify that. And I tried to look into it some, and I couldn't tell what was real quotes, what was fake quotes, what was assumptions.
Here's the quote from I have it. Here's a quote from the Baltimore Banner. And this is what everyone's talking about.
And is this quote from Austin Hayes?
No. This is from whoever wrote this article for the Baltimore Banner.
And I see a lot of people passing that as this is what Austin Hayes said.
No, but Austin Hayes said something else. And we'll get to what Austin Hayes said.
Well, I agree with what Austin Hayes said about switching teams.
But let's start with this first quote. This from the Baltimore Banner. I should look up the guy's name. I'll look it up real quick. But it says, the Orioles have allowed off-field tensions to simmer. There's an old guard fighting for their jobs in mid-contract years. There are young stars who deserve long-term contracts, but for whatever reason, be it front office or players' agents, haven't inked those deals. The farm system spilled over, and it's obvious that many of the youngest players stuck in baseball's quadruple A believe they're ready for the big leagues, that the Orioles are still too stacked to give them. And so that was a quote that got people.
Here's my problem. Everything that Banner article references, that all makes sense. We see that. We see the Orioles veterans that want more playing time because they're up on contract years. We see the young guys that deserve extensions.
Kyle Goodwin was the guy who wrote the article about him.
All right. We see Gunnar and Adley deserve extensions. We see Cedric and Austin Hayes, Urias, Mateo needing to play to prove that they deserve to be on this team in the future. We see those tensions. We see the last tension of the AAA guys that deserve to be everyday players that aren't getting playing time. We see
Gunnar and Urias fighting over balls near third base.
But my question is, do we really believe that has spilled into the clubhouse? Are the veterans more worried about, are the veterans so worried about their future that they're letting that spill out? Is Gunnar and Adley so worried about contract extensions that they're letting that spill out? And are the guys who are up here for a cup of coffee irritated enough that they keep getting sent down that is spilling over into the clubhouse? Are these real tensions, or is this stuff that is being hyped up a little bit because it may all make sense? We see all that. Are we trying to blame something on the Orioles struggle that's not there? That's not really causing friction.
Well, this is just one comment from this article. So
but where's the quote? I want to see an actual player.
And that's my point. Like, if this was a serious issue, you would be able to hear, more players talk about it, or at least read between the lines. Now, maybe you can read behind the lines in the Austin Hayes Phillies World Series quote, and maybe I would. But Josh, the potential for tension that you just mentioned,
right?
I think is real. I talked about it before for months. If I was Kerstedt, I would tell my agent, get me out of here. Get me out of Baltimore. I spent all that time in Norfolk. I could be on any. If I'm Kyle Stowers, this is the happiest day of my life to be out of Baltimore.
Yes. And I agree with all that.
Hayes, too.
I agree with all that, except I don't believe that frustration is playing out on the field.
Okay, I think you're naive, Josh.
I have trouble taking that leap.
Okay, I will take the leap because all these highly competitive people who care about winning, but also care about their careers. I mean, you only get one contract in baseball.
Right.
And so you got to make the most of it, and especially for a guy like Austin Hayes. Guys like Austin Hayes, Josh, don't get paid. They don't get paid. Who's going to pay Austin Hayes in 2 years? No. With a younger player.
This trade is great for Austin Hayes.
Yeah, and Kyle Stowers, he's no longer even listed as a prospect.
Right.
And that dude needs to play. And if he doesn't play, he's going to end up in Norfolk or AAA for the rest of his career. He needs an opportunity to. And if you don't think Kyle Stowers is mad in Norfolk, if he's grumbling and angry to still be in Norfolk, I think that's naive, Josh. I think he's mad and angry. And I would not be surprised at all if some of that tension has spilled out, that he's upset he's not going to play in time, that Austin Hayes is upset that he's not playing as much as he wants to. It is not a leap at all for me. It's an easy leap for me. It's a little hot.
I can see the frustrations dealing with the agents. I just have trouble with the Austin Hayes is in the clubhouse angry at Colton Cowser for taking his playing time, and Gunnar Henderson and Urias fighting in the clubhouse because one's making the plays and the other isn't.
Well, I don't think it doesn't have to be as black and white as that. It can be just about going to the clubhouse frustrated. And maybe not a individual person, just frustrated.
The other day, there was an error that was credited to Gunnar Henderson where Gunnar was calling Urias off and Urias didn't back off and it went off his glove. Are you saying that is because Urias is so determined to make the play that he can't let Gunnar show him up? He's got to make that play.
I'm saying Gunnar's quote after the game was the most wishy-washy quote you ever heard, saying, well, I called the ball, but he didn't hear me. I guess in the future, maybe I could call
the announcers heard him.
Urias, thankfully, tonight's having a good game. He's had a rough week. I feel like a rough week. I feel like Oriole fans have just been through the ringer.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone needs to calm down.
I do like this.
The tension from the locker room has spilled into the Orioles fans.
Right.
We all just need to relax.
You're right. This quote from Gunnar, I kind of buy into the tension.
Isn't that
Thought I called it loud. I called it loud enough, but yeah, I guess he didn't hear me. I got to do a better job calling it, I guess. Yeah.
Just I guess it's in there.
Yeah. All right. I can see that.
Yeah. So I think there's something to it. And just while we're talking about the Austin Hayes quote, his quote about the Phillies and leaving Baltimore. He said
Yeah.
to go from one first place team to another one is probably everything you could ask for as a player. There's not very many teams you can feel like you're upgrading in a way from where you were when your former team was in first place. But that's how I feel. I feel like I'm coming. Here's a quote. I feel like I'm coming into a place where we have an even better chance of winning the World Series. Josh, tell me with a straight face, it doesn't bother you that a guy we drafted, a guy we nurtured, a guy we held in our bosom, a guy we raised in Birdland on a playoff team, our veteran leader, a guy we love, now goes to Phillies and say, "Oh, I'm with a better team." Tell me with a straight face that quote doesn't bother you at all.
All right, here's my problem. The problem is that I agree with him. The Phillies have not been struggling the way the Orioles have lately. The Phillies have a clearer path to win the division than the Orioles. So in those
I'd rather
regards,
play in division with the Yankees than the Braves.
The Phillies have an easier division. The Phillies have a better win record than the Orioles. So I can't be too mad at him. And finally, he's not speaking to the Baltimore Oriole fans. He wants the Philadelphia Phillies organization and fans to love him. So you have to say those things.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I really don't care that much.
Hey, there wasn't just breaking news about Holiday, was there?
I got a text from one of my sources saying,
yeah, me too,
that there's news. I haven't confirmed my source, but I do have one source.
And he's not the most reliable source, I gotta say.
No, he's not the most reliable source at all. I don't trust him.
And I go to Twitter and it says my tweets aren't loading.
No, Rocco Bacco says Holiday rejoining the Orioles in Baltimore.
Okay, good. So Barbara today is just a weird thing. All right, we'll get to that at some point. Next week. Okay.
All right. So a couple other thoughts on Sir Anthony Dominguez. Like I said before, he strikes out a lot and he throws hard. This is something I feel like is actually missing from our bullpen, like strikeout throwers. Cano is a pitch to contact. He's a ground ball pitcher. He's not a strikeout guy. Like, who is the guy you bring in with 2 runners on in the 7th? Right. And I think Sir Anthony Dominguez, and you need a strikeout with 1 out or something. I think Sir Anthony Dominguez can be that guy to get you a strikeout. And so I like this pick. His numbers, ERA doesn't look great, but his strikeout numbers look great. And so I think you're kind of looking at that. Also, when I first heard we signed Sir Anthony, I thought this was like a Sidney Ponson situation where he was knighted and became Sir. Like, this is like an honorary, like Sir.
But it's
Anthony.
his name, right?
It's his name. His name is Sir Anthony. It's like S-E-R Anthony.
Yeah. I believe that is illegal in America.
Oh, really?
In the United States, you cannot. You can't name your kid King.
Sir Silas.
Yeah, I don't know about Sir.
Yeah,
but I know you can't name your kid King.
Okay,
I think.
But see, that like forces people to put respect on your name. So I kind of like it, Sir Matt. Like Sir Anthony, I like Anthony. Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. Sir Anthony.
Yeah.
A little bit of
gravitas. You cannot name yourself King, Queen, Lil, Judge.
That is not true. I know Queens, Josh. I know Queens.
Says it's according to this thing, Wikipedia. You cannot. You may treat your baby like a queen, but you cannot have your official name be Queen.
Okay, well maybe Queen was a nickname because I know a girl whose name goes by Queen.
Judge, Majesty, Jesus Christ, Santa Claus, Adolf Hitler, or Messiah, or 1069. Those names are illegal in the United States for baby names. Did I just bring the show to a stop? You confused now?
What's 1069? Well, I don't even understand. I thought this was America where you can name your kid whatever you want, but maybe not. All right, fine. Josh, this is not the show for all these sidebars. Okay, make a list of sidebars, and we can talk about them for the off season. Save the conversation for legal, illegal names in the United States for the off season because I think that warrants a discussion. But let me ask you a question. Can you just see now I'm getting down this road? Can you just add King to the beginning? Like, can I be King Charles as one name? King Charles. I bet you could do that. Just like Sir Anthony, I could be King Charles.
No, because King would be your first name. Charles would be your second name. I don't know how this works.
They're together. King Charles.
Can I name my kid King Charles?
All right. While you look up, no, don't put a space between King and Charles. Do not put a space. Delete the space.
Yeah. Then King Charles, you could. Sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
King
that's
Charles.
what Sir Anthony did. It's Sir Anthony, just one word.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Smart move. That's a way to get around it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Glad we settled that. So
yeah, that was the big breaking part. That was the big thing we had to break down of the Austin Hayes trade is Sir Anthony.
Yeah. So I'm happy we get Sir Anthony Dominguez. I would prefer if we kept Austin Hayes, but if this is what it took to get Sir Anthony Dominguez, I'm good with it. And that, to me, Josh, a lot of my takes are going to go back to this. I would have preferred probably different players or different, for both ways. But I don't know what was out there being offered. I don't know what the Phillies wanted. Obviously, I don't know what the Orioles were offering. But I'm glad we added. I think this is a really good addition to our bullpen for a late inning guy. Maybe not a closer, but a late inning guy.
No, and they're right. They've looked pretty good in there in the bullpen.
All right.
So
ready for the next move?
The next move is Zach Eflin. Right.
We got to do better. We're 20 minutes in, and we only got one move down. Okay, we got to move.
All right.
So Zach Eflin. He went for 3 prospects: Matthew Etzel, Jackson Baumeister, and Mac Horvath.
Yeah, 3 low-level prospects.
Yeah, and you get Zach Eflin for this year, and I think for like $18 million next year, so a hefty pay for next year. But you get him for next year as well.
Yeah, this sounds great. I like this move. It sounds, especially what I know today.
Zach Eflin pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, especially what I know today, it seems cheap for Zach Eflin because the pitching market definitely blew up.
Yes.
And this is a guy who I would say slots in at number 3 for us. Burns, Grayson, Eflin.
Yes.
And, he pitched 6 innings yesterday. He gave up he gave up his season high hits in 10 hits. But I think they were all singles or almost all singles. Nothing big.
Yeah, only 3 runs. So what I like about Zach Eflin is, you like the fact that he has another year. We talked about the injuries next year. And so having Zach Eflin there.
And I think that's key of some of these moves that he made, that Elias made this week with pitching is next year.
Yeah, because we talked about before, the only thing for sure for next year is Grayson and Dean, and now we can add Grayson and Dean and Zach.
Correct.
This trade, and I like that. The other thing I really like about this trade is, to me, he's like the anti Cade Povich, where Cade Povich just like walks 3 guys.
A proven Cade Povich,
yeah, and then I'm gonna try to get some guys out now. Zach Eflin doesn't walk anybody. His walk rate is one of the lowest in baseball. He may give up some singles, but he doesn't walk people. So when he gives up a single, there's not runners on. Like when Povich gives up a single, there's probably a runner on or 2 from walks.
Right.
And same with McDermott. Those guys need to Povich and McDermott need to go back to AAA. And these moves today allow that to happen.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I'm a big fan of the Zach Eflin move. He's good. He's, I think, a mid-rotation starter. I agree with you. He slots in there at number 3. He can give you innings. He's going to end up with an ERA in the low 4s, I think, high 3s maybe, and that's good. I'll take it right now at the ERA of 4.09, which sounds about right. So he's thrown already 110 innings. So yeah, I feel like he's going to be in the playoffs, our 3rd guy, and I'm okay with that.
Me too. I like him. Like I said, he's the only new guy I made a shirt for over on Birdland Sports.
Yeah, and as far as what we gave up, Matthew Etzel, Jackson Baumeister, and Mac Horvath, obviously not any top names, right?
No, and I think this goes back to what I said about our lower guys are higher in other squads.
Yes, I think, obviously the Rays are happy to get our guys, and the Rays are really good. It's always tricky to trade with the Rays, makes you nervous because they're really good at scouting prospects and being competitive on a low payroll. And so you wonder about that. But no, these are not any of the top guys. And so who knows where their careers are headed. I think they're all Bowie guys. So they're all a couple years away anyway. But none of them we're not talking about guys in our top 10 here. So
right.
I feel and to get a starter, as we saw just from what the Astros did and how it worked out in the trade market, to not give up top prospects and to get a pitcher, especially with 2 years of control. This one is the one that seems like a bit of a. Everyone talks about who fleeced who. And I think that's stupid.
We
because
won this one.
No one knows who fleeced who. But on paper, it seems to be a pretty good deal for the Orioles.
Yeah, correct. Long term, and again, don't judge this one just in this year. Remember, we have next year also.
Yeah, but I mean, Josh, I think we can reach some conclusions in October.
Yeah, totally. And the fact that this now solidifies our postseason rotation, the top three, like you were saying.
I mean, if Zach Eflin becomes a key piece that gets us into playing baseball in November, I don't care if Matt Horvath turns to an all-star.
Right.
It's a good move because this is what we need to know. So I think we can judge in October, and then we can judge it a little bit more after next year.
Okay. Judge in October, and then hopefully celebrate still having him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or mourn. Either way.
Yeah. And this trade was done a little bit before the trade deadline, so we already got to see him pitch. This was done like
Thursday? Thursday, Friday?
Yeah. I don't know.
And then we got to see him pitch on Monday. He pitched game 1 of the doubleheader.
Yes, yesterday. Okay. And then
I did like his post-game comments. Because I remember watching that first game and thinking, oh, that crowd's really small for a makeup game because it's a makeup game.
Yes.
At 3 o'clock Monday afternoon. And his comments
and it was like cloudy and rainy that day too. Yeah. It's not a good day.
And his comments after the game were how great the crowd was, how loud the crowd was, because he came from Tampa.
Yeah.
So he's not used to crowd noise.
Yeah. Dominguez might have been. Sir Anthony Dominguez might have been disappointed, but
did he pitch on Monday or did he pitch Sunday?
I don't know, but he's at all the game.
I know. Well, Sunday was a huge crowd for the bobblehead giveaway.
Oh yeah, Josh. Have you got
Friday was a bucket hat large crowd. So they got some big crowds over the weekend.
Have you got your hands on the switch hitter yet?
It's on the way.
Okay.
I got a guy now that hooks me up with every giveaway. The left and right are both coming my way.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Well, I'm not going to share because I pay him. He doesn't just send them to me.
Yeah.
But
he's one of the guys with the 5 baskets going in there with the 10 bags.
He is. And he knows that I will take any bobblehead. So he always reaches out and says, hey, I've got one. And I PayPal him some money and he sends it to Florida. I wish I'd have someone that would just grab it and send it to me and let me cover shipping. But that's only happened like once or twice. Meanwhile, I've got this guy that messages me Sunday afternoon and says, I got a left and a right for you. And I say, send them. Your PayPal's on its way.
That's funny.
No discount.
We don't have time to get into the show, but I saw the Miami Marlins, their bobblehead display. They call it a bobblehead museum. That's not a museum, it's a little display. But I got some comments about Miami trip, but we'll see if
and I saw
save it for next episode.
And I saw one of my favorite bobbleheads today on Twitter, I think that I've ever seen. And it's the Miami Marlins giveaway bobblehead. No, it's the Marlins giveaway bobblehead for their City Connect bobblehead of the pitcher we just got.
Oh, for Zach Eflin?
Yeah, no.
Oh, Taylor Rogers, Miami. I'm sorry.
For Trevor Rogers. We'll get to it, and I'll try to find the bobblehead to show you when we talk about him.
Yeah.
But I was very impressed with the bobblehead.
All right, well, let's get there. Trevor Rogers is who we're talking about from Miami. This was the trade that happened today, and Birdland lost their minds a little bit. Trevor Rogers for Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. Josh, your initial reaction, or maybe now that you've had time to sit back, has your initial reaction changed? How are you feeling?
Initial reaction is like all of Birdland, a little disappointing because we want Tanner Scott, we wanted Scooble, we wanted Blake Snell, we wanted a big name pitcher, and this is not a big name pitcher. This guy slots in at our 5th spot. I don't mind the move.
2 guys who Birdland's familiar with.
Yeah,
Kind of
and that's
Norby
the
has
other
been a
thing.
contributor recently, and Kyle Stowers has been a
But
contributor.
I would lean on the Birdland is familiar with these guys. We've fallen in love with the potential of these guys, but we're only familiar because they both have had little playing time because we have no room for them on the squad.
Well,
and we have no
playing last week if there's no room for him.
Yeah, but Holiday's now up. So that'll push them out. We have no room in the pipeline for these guys.
I thought Vavra was going to take a spot.
No, Vavra's going to be gone before this podcast comes out. So I'm not even going to bother talking about Vavra and the Vavra move today. But we don't have room for Norby and Stowers. So to see them be able to go down to Miami, personally for them, is awesome. And I totally understand. And if this guy can be a solid 4 or 5 pitcher, I like that. And that allows us, that in the end helps our bullpen as we get to send Povich back to AAA to get some work in and get better, and send who's the other guy I'm blanking on? Savora to our bullpen. That'll help as well.
Of course, yeah.
So I have no problem with this trade. I kind of like this trade. The guy has really good potential, and he has just been struggling this year. And recently, he has been doing a lot better. Plus, he has this awesome bobblehead. I don't know why his shoes are so big, but I like it.
Oh, that is a good bobblehead.
Isn't it a good bobblehead? And I like how he bends his foot when he pitches. And I looked at some photos, and he does that on the mound. So this will probably be recreated for a Birdland Sports shirt.
Yeah, I mean, what you mentioned about his recent success, I have to go back, Josh, to June 12th for the time he gave up more than 3 runs in a start. Got to go back to June 12th.
Okay. Yes. People were making a big deal about his win-loss record because he's like 4 and
what is this? What is this? 2007? Who's talking about a win-loss record?
Well, and people were complaining about it, and it was like 7-4 or 4-7 or something. But he's had 21 or 22 starts, which means half of his starts were no decisions. So I think there's also a case to be made that you're taking a guy with good stuff and you're moving him to a good team, which is going to allow him to just improve.
Yeah, I wonder how he's being used, because in a lot of his starts, he's throwing like just his pitch count. 88 pitches, 93 pitches, 90 pitches. He has 2 times where he's gone over 100. But other than that, it's a lot of in the 80s. And so I wonder how he's being used too as a pitcher, because a lot of times he only goes 5 2/3, which that's Hyde's guy. Hyde loves a guy to go 4 2/3 or 5 2/3.
He does. He loves to pull him at 5 2/3. He's also a young guy. He's 26 years old. He's still got 2 more years of control, which speaks to the future. 2 more after this year.
2 more. Yeah.
So 2.5 really. But it really speaks to that future and lining up our rotation where now we have 4 guys set for next year instead of 2.
Yep. And so, listen, my concern going into this, and we'll get more into the Norby Stowers stuff, but my concern going into this, I said my philosophy last week, Josh, was I don't want guys with control. And Rogers has 2.5 years control.
Yes.
The fact that he cost Norby and Rogers, I mean, the fact that Norby's and Stowers is a result of the year's control. If he was a half-season rental, he wouldn't cost Norby or Stowers.
Right.
And his cost comes with the control years.
Yeah, and anyone who's upset about this move needs to look at what other teams did for pitching.
Right.
You need to look at that, at what it costs to get Tanner Scott, what it costs to get Jack Flaherty.
Right, but Josh, if I can play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah, you don't want to pay for the 2 years.
There's no gun to my head. I don't have to do it.
Right.
There's no gun to my head saying, well, I have to pay this for pitch. I don't have to pay
Correct.
To pay it. No,
you don't. You don't.
And let me ask you a question, Josh. Is this guy, Trevor Rogers, is he discernibly better than a Suarez or an Irving or a Povich or McDermott in that 5th spot?
I think possibly. I think he's got a real nice fastball.
Okay, so I traded Norby's and Stowers for possibly. Okay.
No, I think here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say I think he is, but I want to see it play out. I want to put him in camp. He's also left-handed, which again plays to the wall.
Deal.
That's a big deal.
And we don't have enough left-handed starters.
No.
Because when we talk about these guys, we're talking about right-handed guys for the most part.
So no, as the day goes on and as time passes since this trade, I find myself liking it more and more.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually do like it. I think Utah Street Report, our friend Derek Arnold, he pointed out when I said, my issue with controllable years because it costs more, and my issue with controllable years is we have a new owner who can spend money. So why do we need to pay prospects for years of control when we can just pay them?
Oh, I can answer that.
Okay, because Derek did too, but you go ahead and answer it.
Well, my answer is, if this guy's controlled and Eflin's controlled and Rodriguez is controlled, then we only have to spend money on Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
And let's take that pitching money and put it into Burns.
Yeah, I think that his point was similar, that, you can't, you don't want to pay for 3 starters.
Right, exactly.
You got to have some guys.
Let's pay for the best.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. And I'd rather dump all my money into Corbin Burns than to find a Taylor Rogers and sign him for an overpriced.
We've had many years of we're not signing a star, we're signing 4 mediocre people that we can get for that same money.
Yeah. I don't want Alex Cobb here, which he was dealt too, and I could not believe. Is that the same Alex Cobb? That was.
Oh, was he moved today?
Yes. And I was like, I didn't know he was still.
I didn't know he was still playing.
Unless there's a different Alex Cobb.
And this guy, didn't this guy also just come back from Tommy John? Didn't he have Tommy John last year?
He had a forearm injury last year. I don't think it was Tommy John. I could be wrong, but I think it was a different type of injury. But one of the reasons I like to trade Josh is, and you alluded to this, but I think even for this year, even a week from now, all right, like maybe it's okay for now, but a week from now. First of all, Kyle Stowers. Let's just talk about him for a second.
Yeah,
he had to go. He's not even prospect status anymore.
No,
he had to go. For him, right? For his sake, Mike Elias did Kyle Stowers a solid because he's a left-handed hitting outfielder. We got Kowser out there. We got Kersit out there. We got Mullins out there. We got switch hitting Santander. There's literally no chance outside of multiple people getting hurt that Stowers was going to get a shot in Baltimore. It just wasn't happening. He's older now. He's not even a prospect anymore. So he had to go. That was a must go. And then Norby, at first I was like, Norby. And Silas was upset because Silas likes Norby. Like, we traded Norby?
Well, Norby's been fun this week.
Yeah, he's made some diving plays.
Yeah, he made 2 yesterday, hit a couple dongs.
Yeah, and so that one was a little bit harder. But if you think about it, again, with Holiday coming, there's just, you think about our infield, Holiday, Westberg, Henderson. And then that does not even include Mayo, if you need to make room for Mayo. So we still got this long to just logistically, it's like we gave up 2 guys that we're not going to see any playing time in the next 10 years.
Right.
So it's like we got this controllable starter for almost, I want to say for nothing, in the sense that it's not for guys who would see any playing time with us.
It goes back to our prospects are more valuable to other teams. And these guys had no path to major leagues, and they're going to be major league starters in Miami.
Well, I wonder too, again, I would like to be a fly on the wall. I want a Hard Knocks for the Orioles where we get to see these conversations and watch some of the highlights of the New York Giants Hard Knocks talking about losing Saquon Barkley. They look like morons, by the way, in that GM office. But because I wonder, I said this last week, I wonder if it's more of if we went into the trade deadline with the approach of Norby and Stowers aren't part of this future, instead of saying kind of who's out there that we want, calling on the GMs and saying, what's the most you can give us for Stowers and a Norby? What's the most we can get here for these 2 guys? Do you think and the frustration, Josh, with you, to your point is, if we're trading Norby and Stowers, I would think, okay, we're getting Tanner Scott back, or we're getting Blake Snell back. So it was a little bit of, well, wait a minute, who did we get back?
Right.
When we traded these well-known prospects, or one well-known prospects and one former prospect. But if you think about it, I'm with you. Initially, I was upset. After I think about it for a while and where this organization's headed, in the long term, this is the smart move to make.
Do you think when this move happens, Calser and Mullins, like high five over in the corner, like a little pressure taken off them. Urias sits back and relaxes. Nothing to worry about, so he hits a home run tonight. And then mid-game, Urias is going to find out that Holiday's on his way.
Yeah, I mean, there was a quote talking about how they're humans or something with the trade deadline. And yeah, right. I get it. Like, it must be stressful both to know that, like, Urias, he could have been traded. Or he could get more playing time. Like, this trade line is going to determine his career.
If I was Urias, I would want to be traded.
I just see, Josh, that's where we disagree. I don't think Urias is good enough to play at other teams.
See,
I don't think he's good enough to start.
But your difference is, I hear what you're saying, but that's not what Urias thinks in his head. And Urias thinks he should be the everyday starter for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, but Josh, would you rather be an everyday starter for the Baltimore Orioles? I'm sorry, an everyday starter for the Miami Marlins, or a bench player for a World Series contending Orioles?
No, I hear you.
At this stage in your life, Kyle Stowers is different. He's younger.
All right, well, here's the problem. All right, Holiday's coming up. Clearly, Holiday's going to move to second. Westbrook's moving to third. Urias is going on your bench. Urias is only holding that spot for 60 days.
Unless the lefty comes up, and then Brennan Hyde's going to do some stupid stuff where he benches Holiday and
But Urias is just going to be sitting on that bench until Mateo's back. And once Mateo's off that IL, you're taking Mateo. Huh?
Yeah. If Mateo comes back.
Yeah, well, right now it's 60 days. If Mateo comes back, he's taking that spot because you want that speed. Urias doesn't give you the speed. Who are you going to pinch
Also, Mateo can play shortstop. As we saw yesterday in the doubleheader with Westbrook playing shortstop, we don't have a backup shortstop.
Correct.
I mean, Holiday.
And if you want to, have you looked at JLC's tweets?
Josh,
he lost his. I think he
lost his freaking mind.
Broke. Yesterday's game broke him.
I know.
Whatever. I've never been a fan.
Go on vacation. You're too close.
Do you think he had the day off and was just like getting into the liquor cabinet with 2 games going on or something?
No, I mean, he loves to play
the hater.
GM. He's done the same thing with Ozzie Newsome and DeCosta. He loves to criticize the GM side of things. And, yeah, and to think, and he said the most asinine thing the other day where he said he has a better pulse on the team than Mike Elias. It's just so asinine.
Yeah.
You don't have
he also said, the experiment's over, go get us a shortstop.
Yeah. He also said that, Mike Elias is trying to get a badge for the best farm system. And then a day later said, well, maybe we should trade Corbin Burns because of how much people are getting back for starting. He's all over the place. So
he's an idiot.
But I think there has been. It's really interesting, Josh, and I want to focus on the trade deadline because we got to get through the last few trades.
I know. We're 40 minutes in and we haven't gone through it all.
On the field, that has caused people to lose their minds.
Yes,
calling for firing Hyde, saying nasty things about Elias
for mistakes.
Yeah, and I'm like,
for a long season, guys are going to struggle.
162 games. I mean, we need some Buck Showalter quotes in here, right? We need some Buck Showalter quotes about over 162 games. You're going to find out who you are. And this is listen, this is the team. This is the team. So if Gunnar Henderson has errors, I'm sorry, he's your guy. Like you're not. We need some I like our guys here quotes here because he's not going anywhere. Like this is our team, and we can tweak around the edges, and we did. I think this trade deadline. Yeah. But the core of this team is not changing. I mean, this is who we are, and I think it's a good thing. I think people think that there's something wrong with the core of this team or something. This team isn't built right because we had a rough 2 weeks. I think those guys are just missing the bigger picture here. So I think we'll be fine.
Me too. I'm not concerned. I'm not
either.
You want to get back to how about we now have commercials in the show because I'm trying to do like the podcast business side and be like, hey, if we do commercials, I can pay you a little bit. How about we take a commercial real quick here and then we'll come back and talk trade, the rest of the trade deadline. All right. You like that sound?
Yeah. I wasn't sure about it the first time, but when you played it 10 times, I liked it.
I think you were doing a breaking news sound. It's now our commercial rejoiner, and we're back.
All right, so we need to get. So we covered. All right, we covered Sir Anthony Dominguez and Christian Pache for Austin Hayes. We covered Zach Eflin for Matthew Etzel, Jackson Baumeister, and Matt Horvath. And now we covered Trevor Rogers for Connor Norby and the Kyle Stowers. that broke Birdland for a minute. All right, so let's get to the last couple moves. And these were up against the deadline. Eloy Jimenez for we got him from the White Sox for minor league reliever Trey McGow. Eloy Jimenez, right-handed hitter.
I don't understand this move.
Don't
even worry about the details. Right-handed power hitter that sucks in the outfield.
That can't play the outfield.
Yes.
He's slow.
Yes.
He has the highest ground ball rate in all of baseball,
Matt,
which is not good for a slow
me
DH.
out. How is this not just bring up Kobe Mayo to take this spot? What do I get out of this guy?
A lot of people, Josh, here's what confuses me about the deal. It's not so much in the trade, but the reaction. A lot of people are praising the Orioles that this is a sign that things have changed.
Because we took on money. We took on money.
Salary. But like I think
if we do this, we can set off fireworks. There we go. We'll celebrate. The Orioles took on money. They took on a contract.
Yeah, they took on money. Why am I not getting? There it is.
You gotta hold it up.
We took on money, but like my thinking is, if we take on money, we should get one of their prospects too.
Yeah,
we took on money and we still gave up a prospect and got a bad baseball player. I'm not sure. Like,
I don't understand.
What's good about this? And so that it seems like a weird move. He has options, a club option of $16.5 million for next year, 18.5 for the year after that, or we can buy him out for $3 million. It seems to me like we're just lighting money on fire. I'm with you, Josh. He's a DH. He's a right-handed hitter. So he's there for the left-handed platoon. I remember for the platoon against left-handed pitchers.
Which Kobe Mayo could have done fine.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of is here's my only way this could make sense. I mentioned his ground ball rate is the highest in all of baseball. Maybe, the White Sox suck at player development. Maybe they saw something in his swing and said, he's fixable. Like, we can fix this.
Okay, but he can't play the field. He can't run.
Yeah.
Why?
It's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher.
I hope Elias has a good explanation for this one.
Yeah. It's like the Aaron Hicks thing where you bring in a veteran. I kind of get that. But like he can't even play defense. And okay, so you want to give Adley a rest day against a left-handed hitter, and Mountcastle is playing first, and so Ryan O'Hearn doesn't play against lefties. And so here's your opportunity to do a right-handed hitter. But to your point, Josh, I can't imagine that Kobe Mayo would be worse than Eloy Jimenez.
Right. So that's the easy answer is, this bat replaces Austin Hayes.
Right. You want a right-handed hitting outfielder.
And
who can't
he did win a Silver Slugger, but it was a shortened season. It was the COVID year.
Okay.
I hope.
Yeah, that's why he made all that money.
Surprises me.
He got into a big term contract with a lot of money.
Right. I hope he surprises me. I just don't understand the move.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of moves you don't understand, let's get to the final couple moves here.
Okay.
After that was announced, the next move that was announced was the Austin's, and this is all kind of jumbled together at the very end.
Yeah, this all happened at like 6:05.
Yeah, Austin Slater.
Yes.
Another right-handed hitting outfielder. And Levian Soto, who I think this is like his fourth time with the Orioles, for cash considerations and a player to be named later from the Giants.
And that didn't it? Oh, okay. They're sending us another player. Okay. Yes.
And so the thing about this one,
and we gave up Seth Johnson and Chase.
Moises
Chase.
It's not this one. No.
No.
This we got Slater and Soto, not Juan but Livian, and we gave up cash considerations and a player to be named later.
Okay.
All right. Livian Soto has options, so I think a lot of people presume he's going to be sent to Norfolk. So when we call up Holiday, Livian Soto will go there and take a spot. Yeah. And then Austin Slater is now. This is I don't get the Eloy Jimenez. Austin Slater kind of makes sense as the Austin Hayes replacement. He has a 274, 364, 433 slash line against southpaws. He has 122 weighted runs created plus against southpaws, and he's good in the corner outfield positions and can play center field. He's a good outfielder, and so this makes sense to me as the Austin Hayes replacement, not the Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah, and he's been traded twice in the past 3 weeks.
Yes, he went from the Reds and then again, or from the Giants and then
Giants to the Reds to us.
Yeah.
But is he going to Norfolk? Right? No,
I
have
think
room for him on the bench.
Well, I don't know. I don't think, and this is why I'm curious to see how this plays out. I don't think Jimenez, Enslater, and Pashi can all stay here, right?
I don't really see room for any of them here.
I think 2 of them have to go. I think 1 can stay.
You think 1 can stay? I guess 1 can stay.
Austin Slater will have to go through waivers.
Okay.
He doesn't have options.
Oh, okay. Then that's a weird move. All right, but when we did then make another move, and this is what was confusing me, is we made another move to get another Soto.
Yes, another Soto.
Do you think in the first move, Elias messed up and was like, oh, that's not the Soto I wanted? You know, like when you're playing a video game and sometimes you click on the wrong name.
Yeah. This is the whole fantasy move. You find a guy with the same fantasy football name as someone who's really good and you're trying to do a trade. Yeah.
Oh, I grabbed the wrong Randy Moss. Yeah. So you got to do a little trade back, and clearly there's no trade backs allowed, so he had to then go make another move.
Yeah, perhaps. And that last trade you're referring to is Gregory Soto for Seth Johnson and Moises Chase.
Yeah. And, yeah, we can use – it's a left-handed reliever. We need left-handed arms.
Control. Throws hard. Again, another guy who throws hard.
Yep. And again, low-level prospects.
Yeah. I think the issue with Seth Johnson, a lot of people like Seth Johnson, thinking he'd be like a mid-rotation arm. The problem with him, though, is he is on the 40-man already, and he's in Bowie. And so he's still a couple years away and taking up a 40-man spot. So I think part of this was like a numbers game.
Is he Rule 5? Is he Rule 5 eligible yet?
Yeah. That's why he was Rule 5 eligible this past off season.
Right.
That's why he was put on the 40-man.
Right.
And now he's taking up a 40-man at Bowie.
Correct. Yeah. And we don't. Right. So that makes sense. I'm fine with that move too. It's really I'm good with everything Elias did this week, except for that Ellie trade, Ellie Jimenez. I don't understand it. I never will. Well, unless he has a hot bat.
There might be an explanation.
Yeah. If he hits Utah Street a few times, I will change my mind.
I kept on waiting for Larry to be like a Chicago White Sox prospect in the deal. They're like, well, if you take on the salary, we'll also give you this prospect.
Instead, we just ate salary.
Jimenez. I don't really understand.
I haven't looked up his power. Maybe he's got power that they're like, oh, the wall will be no match for this guy.
I did get immediately after Soto text. The Soto trade. I got a text from our friend Adam Schetzel, who's a big.
I was going to ask you about the Hayes trade as well and his thoughts.
Yeah, and he texted me about that one as well. He was like, he's texting me after the Soto trade was like, I don't know why you guys want our entire bullpen that blew the 2023 NLCS. And it's true, right? We got Kimbrel now. We got Soto. We got Sir Anthony Dominguez. Like, this was their bullpen last year that famously blew every lead they could get in the NLCS. Now, most of that was Kimbrel because Dominguez actually pitched really well in the playoffs. But maybe they can't fail as hard two years in a row. I guess, Josh, if we can zoom out and do some big picture stuff here.
Maybe it's a comfort level for Kimbrel. Like he's comfortable to these guys setting him up.
All right. Well, those guys are setting him up last year when he blew the saves in the playoffs. So, but I guess if I could say my some big takeaways here is, one, it makes me happy that we didn't give away the Mayo Basayo holiday.
Yes,
I didn't think we were, and it makes me happy we still have them.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have gotten a Snell or something if we want to give that up. We didn't. So that makes me happy.
We would have had to for Tanner Scott. We all wanted Tanner Scott. We would have had to give up prospects. The Padres gave up their number 2 and number 4 prospects.
And number 5.
Us, and was it 2 and 5?
2, 4, and 5.
2, 4, 2, 4, and 5. So for us, that might be 4, 6, and 9.
Right. It might
be there's names in there.
And
right.
But we didn't give up anybody in this trade deadline that long term has any. I don't think was going to see playing time long term anyway. Right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
So that's a good thing. The bad thing is, Josh, you are a World Series contending team. And I sit back here and I think playoff game, November, ninth inning, up by 1. Who's pitching? And the answer is right now, maybe Craig Kimbrell, I guess, or Cano. And I don't know how you couldn't have walked away with a better option at closer. And I wonder, like Mason Miller got hurt.
I hear you.
So Mason Miller was not an option to get traded. You wonder about that. The Phillies, the reason the Phillies were able to trade their bullpen arms to us is because they went out and upgraded their bullpen and got better at the bullpen. And so we got their cast-offs because they went out and got kind of top line the bullpen arms. And so we get the leftovers. And I'm a little concerned we're going to the playoffs with leftovers. Now, long term, this year, I think we're in good position to win. I think we got better for next year, too, which is great. I just wonder this year. And next year we'll have Batista back, which is going to be amazing. But this year, playoff run, I'm still worried about our bullpen.
I hope Kimbrell settles down, and I don't need to worry about Kimbrell. But I hear you.
Okay, there's not going to be any scenario that I'm not worrying about Kimbrell. All right,
the question still is out there. And it probably always will be.
Cano closed the game the other night. I don't even know if Kimbrell is. I don't even know. I mean, I think they're going to try this thing where he's not the closer for 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I like that. I do like Kimbrell in like the 7-8 slot. I like that.
I do too. But then who's the 9 slot?
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Suarez, how's he?
Well, yeah, I'd be curious to see if they move Suarez to the bullpen. The other news that kind of related to these trades, and we don't know how all this stuff's going to play out with the Slater and the Jimenez and all that stuff. But what we do know happened right before the game is your boy Irvin was DFA'd, and so that
yes,
and
so that was to make room in the bullpen.
Well, it was making room for a backup catcher. But
well, that's I think that's a temporary move.
Yeah, it's a temporary. You're gonna have to make move for all these players you're adding, and so Cole Irvin. I really don't understand. I mean, why is Keegan Aiken not DFA'd? I don't really know. But certainly, like we needed better lefties. We got Soto. We needed better bullpen arms, hard throwers. We got Dominguez. I feel really good about that, and we got 2 starters. And so, Josh, we said going to trade deadline. What do we need? At least 1 starter, at least 1 bullpen arm. It'd be nice to get 2 starters and two bullpen arms, and that's what we got. So you can't be too upset at that.
I'm not upset. I feel good, and I think we talked about last week as we've been doing trade speculation and everything about clearing the logjam. And how really part of these trade moves is going to be to clear the logjam for guys to come up. So when you take all these moves and you bring Holiday back as early as tomorrow, they're saying either Wednesday for the day game or Thursday he'll hit the road with the Birds. That's excitement and stuff to be excited for, a push for the second half. And maybe that's the little bit of move the Orioles need to catch fire again.
Yeah, so you made room for Holiday through the Norby trade.
You blocked everything up for Mayo.
You blocked things up for Mayo. I'm curious to see how that plays out. I feel like there's more room in the outfield for Kerstedt.
Yes, and Cowser. Kerstedt and Cowser can now get more playing time.
Well, Cowser's playing every day anyway, but
right. But even when he struggles, you can keep him in there.
Yeah, and Kerstedt can play more, which I'm looking forward to. And so that's good. And going forward, again, next year, you want those guys to be playing all the time. And so It makes sense that there wasn't room for Austin Hayes. I'm curious to see, though, all those guys, though, are lefties. I'm curious to see what happens with – because I kind of liked the Pache deal as the answer to Austin Hayes, because Christian Pache, what I like about him is I feel no compulsion to play him ever. So he can just be there for defensive replacement and running. And if I'm thinking about the playoffs, I'm not thinking about, and I know Hyde is doing this crap where, well, what if we play a right-handed starter, left-handed starter? I don't care. Like playoffs, just play your best players.
Yeah.
But then I want on the
thinking
bench,
about speed.
I want defense and speed on the bench.
Yes.
And so I could have defense and speed and Mateo and Posh on the bench. I kind of like that idea.
I like that.
In terms of the playoff roster construction. And maybe that will be in terms of playoff roster construction. So I'm still curious to see how these play out. I'm curious to hear Mike Elias. I mean, next week we can talk about Elias quotes, hopefully, on Eloy Jimenez and see what's happening there. And see, I want to see if Elias says he was close to some bigger deals too. He likes to say that sometimes.
Right. The ones that we missed out on.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like we're better for this year. I think we're in a better position to win the AL East. I think we're a little bit better position in the playoffs, and then we're in a better position for 2025. And Elias, he's been really transparent with this, where he's trying to build something that's competitive year in and year out. So he's not looking just at this year; he's looking at next year and year out. So, yeah, I think we got better. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Did you see? I was just trying to pull it up. Did you see the one guy who was traded yesterday, who now has the opportunity to be the first player ever to play on both teams in the same game? Because they were playing a game earlier in the season, it got a rain delay and postponed.
So it's a makeup game for another day.
He got traded, and now it's not a makeup game, it's a continue and pick up at the third inning, and he will be on the other team, and it'll be the first time that's happened apparently.
Oh, that's fine.
I guess I know we've been here. It's a long show. Did you want to talk about your Marlins visit at all, or you want to save that for next week?
Yeah, we can talk about next week. It's fine.
All right, great. Let's talk about that next week. We started with McCann. All impressed with McCann, and the Orioles actually played decent baseball this week. Played well with the Blue Jays.
Yeah. I think we could be. This is always an interesting time of season too, because the Blue Jays and other teams have unloaded a lot of their talent, and then other teams have stacked. We didn't really get into it, but I don't think, and I have to sit back and look at it too, but I don't think the Yankees and Red Sox did anything to significantly upgrade their rosters.
No. And the Yankees got some bullpen arms, and they brought in that Jazz guy, which I don't even understand that move. I don't.
Oh, I love Jazz Chisholm. I think it's a good move for the Yankees. Actually, we disagree about that.
Well, yeah. Either way, Yankees are still in second place, and let's keep it that way.
Yeah, and I think they didn't add Blake Snell or Jack Flaherty or any of these guys.
Right, and that's what we're used to. We're used to sitting back and watching the other teams get better.
Yeah, and the Yankees have been struggling, so I thought this was a time that they would panic and go all in, but they didn't, and so that's good news for us, at least this year, competing for the AL East.
Agreed.
Yeah.
64 and 44 is our record right now.
All right. The Yankees lose today or not?
The Yankees, let's see.
Let's end this podcast with some good news.
The Yankees are winning 5-4, but it's the bottom of the ninth, and the Phillies have 2 runners on.
One out. Do you know who's up? Look who's
Austin
up.
Hayes.
Help
us out, Austin.
Do us a good turn. Yeah.
He already got a home run earlier today. So to get another 3-run shot would be pretty impressive.
Yeah. I like Austin Hayes a lot. And
me too. I
texted
his agent as soon as it happened. I was like,
his agent's a Florida boy. Is he a Florida guy too?
Yeah. He is. He's a Daytona kid.
Okay.
So we'll definitely, Austin Hayes seems like a good guy. I think we'll definitely still try to reach out and get him on this podcast to talk about his time with the Orioles after we beat him in the World Series.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan to me. All right, let's get out of here. I want to go watch the end of this Yankees game. See him blow it.
All right.
You can follow us on all your social media platforms. And if you haven't done it yet, go to iTunes and leave us a review. It helps to get the word out on the show. And check out Birdland Sports for some new T-shirts there. Get your McCann or Eflin T-shirts. Yeah, it's a really nice Kerstead. My Kerstead T-shirt that I bought this week is my favorite. Oh, really? New Kerstead? I'll have to check it out. Yeah. Right. So, we'll get to it next week. But Kerstead taking batting practice is one of the most amazing experiences maybe of my life. I put up there with my wife giving birth to my first son. Watching him, Josh, it's just unbelievable. You just don't see guys hit the ball this hard, this far. And I was watching all the players hit, and then you knew. I didn't see who was hitting. You could just the sound and how high and far the ball flew. You knew every time when Heston was up there. It's just wild. All right, but let's get out of here. Go to Apple Podcast Race Review. You can follow us on all your social media platforms. I tweeted like 2 times today. Got all excited about the deadline. Oh, you did?
I did yesterday too, I think. Yes.
All right. Well, you can follow us on X at Section336 is my handle. And you can follow Josh on X
at Josh Soroka or at Birdland Sports.
Thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go O's.